Oh, g'day everyone. This is probably going to be a fairly boring little policy thing for people in New South Wales only. And it's got to do with Transport for New South Wales changing the delegations for council traffic committees. Yeah, kind of boring stuff, but it's actually interesting to some people who are interested in public policy. Now, the thing here is that in New South Wales, every council is supposed to have a local traffic committee, and it's got to have at least 4 members on it. That's going to be someone from the council, someone from the local police or the police local area command, Transport for New South Wales, and the local state parliamentarian gets to send a member, a nominee along. I don't think the actual member attends very often. They usually send a staffer. And the idea of these traffic committees is they're supposed to provide consultation to any changes that are happening with traffic, parking, etc. in the council area. Now, the important thing is the local traffic committee is an advisory body only. All it can do is provide advice to the full council. So what normally happens is a couple of weeks before the monthly council meeting, there'll be a local traffic committee meeting. They'll get together. They'll say what they're going to advise the council to approve or advise what the council is going to reject. So you can see that can really slow down the decision-making process where, let's say you want to, I don't know, change the footpath on a corner of a street somewhere. So you've got to do some community consultation with the local residents, etc., and anyone else who's interested, like, I don't know, Walk Sydney, cyclists, local disabled groups, elderly groups, whatever. You might even have to consult the local bus company if it's on a bus route. Then a report gets put together, that goes to the local traffic committee. Now, they might turn around and have objections to it, and so it then goes back to, the consultation review stage, which might take another month or so. Then, it has to wait until the next monthly local traffic committee, and they might have issues with it, back it goes again. So you can see how it just, it can go into an endless loop of stuff. And even if it goes through the local traffic committee and they recommend it, it might get to council, and a majority of council says, no, we don't like that, back to the drawing board. And so, it goes back to the drawing board and another round of community consultation. Then it has to go to the local traffic committee again. Then it has to go to the council again. So you can see how with some projects, it could just take forever to get approval to do anything simply because, they don't have weekly meetings, the local traffic committee, and they don't have weekly meetings of council. These things only happen, once a month, and you're stuck in a very long cycle with your decision loops. So the temporary delegation that they're providing is that councils now have an alternative pathway to going through the local traffic committee process. And this is for anything to do with walking, cycling, public amenity, road safety, or parking. So what I've just described really short circuits that whole very lengthy consultation, local traffic committee assessment, full council approval process. So we'll skip through slide 3. Slide 4. So, what they're doing here is they're allowing this pathway for low risk works to make streets more livable and support walking and cycling. It's like, hooray! It's like active transport is finally making it up to the top of the agenda. So what works are being delegated? Works to regulate parking. And my question here is whether that includes removing parking as well as changing, say, an area from all-day parking to 2-hour parking, or to permit parking, or to go from parking to, no stopping or something like that. Putting in pedestrian crossings. Now, in the past, councils have had to go through this whole warrant process with Transport for New South Wales to get something approved, and there's a formula they have to follow. They won't, well, in the old days, Transport for New South Wales wouldn't provide a warrant for a pedestrian crossing, or it wasn't warranted unless there was a certain number of vehicle movements multiplied by a certain number of pedestrian movements across that road in a certain time period. Well, that's all gone now. Pedestrian refuges, great. This is an interesting one. Conversion of existing pedestrian crossings to wombat crossings. I mean, that's a really good one for cyclists because, we're not legally allowed to cycle across a pedestrian crossing, but if they can turn it into a wombat crossing, which allows pedestrians to walk across and cyclists to legally cycle across, that's a big improvement in New South Wales. Okay, footpaths and continuous footpaths. That's the interesting one again. So at where a footpath meets a street, you can change it to a continuous footpath. I put like a hump across the road, so drivers have to slow down or give way to pedestrians crossing on the footpath. Uh, Temporary or permanent works to allow al fresco dining. Yeah, that's good for cafe strips and restaurant strips, things like that. Um, Temporary works or permanent works to improve or expand footpaths or pedestrian space. So yeah, turning streets into kind of malls or pedestrian areas and things like that. And curb build-outs to reduce crossing distance or manage vehicle speed. Now that again is really important in areas where you want to reduce vehicle speeds to 40 kilometres an hour or 30 kilometres an hour, or even in 50k zones, making sure that drivers keep it down to 50 kilometres an hour or less. Because look, I've lived on plenty of 50 kilometre an hour streets where people go screaming down them at 100 k's. Right, next slide. Yeah, some more bits and pieces. Yeah, curb modifications, treatments to manage vehicle speeds. Okay, there's more stuff there like chicanes and road cushions. And works to create, and this must have been aimed at Canada Bay Council, but not remove bicycle parking, bicycle lanes, bicycle paths, blah, blah, blah. So maybe that's fallout from the whole Heath Street debacle where, council just can't say, oh, we're going to remove that bicycle facility without going through the whole consultation process because if it has to go to the local traffic committee, Transport for New South Wales sits on that. Obviously, they would have a say in whether bicycle infrastructure is going to be removed, and they can probably, again, the traffic committee has no decision-making power, but if Transport for New South Wales makes a stink in that meeting and has the backing of the local member, will council really want to go ahead and approve something like that again? Right, frequently asked questions on slide 6. So look, essentially this is on unclassified roads. So we're talking quiet streets. We're not talking main roads. So, in the Canada Bay area, we're not talking about Victoria Road. We're probably not talking about, we're not talking about Great North Road, for instance, major thoroughfares. We're talking about all the side streets and streets where residents live, essentially. So I would think, for instance, if you look at Warringah, for instance, where we lived for quite some time, this would probably allow council to do works on the streets that abut up to Great North Road, like Caranto Street, Warringah Street, all those streets, but maybe not on Great North Road itself because it's a bus route. It's a major. It might be a classified road. Blah blah blah. So. So for instance, outside Trovatino's Cafe, where they put in some alfresco dining, took away some parking spots, they could do that now with this short-circuited process, which allows them to react a hell of a lot faster. Now, there's a time limit on this, 30th of June 2026, and I think that's sensible to put a sunset clause on things. And, they can review it and extend it at a time if it's working really well. If it's not working, scrap it. Do the works have to be removed after that date? No, it can be for permanent works. Can they still refer stuff to the local traffic committee? Yeah, absolutely. If the council wants to keep using the local traffic committee, they're free to do so. If they want to make faster decisions, they can use this pathway. So the option's there for them. Will Transport for New South Wales provide advice? Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've seen with Transport for New South Wales getting more involved in active transport, publishing policies, publishing how-to guides. Yeah, they should be around to help out. Right. Slide 7, look, that's just a repeat of a lot of stuff that I've talked about previously. Number 8, again, this is just, where does this apply to? Well, essentially streets with a speed limit of 50 kilometres an hour or less, except for parking management and improvements to existing pedestrian crossings. So what I just said about Great North Road might not hold true because they might be able to say, well, look, we want to put in more pedestrian crossings on Great North Road, and even though it's a major road, we can use this power to do so. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's a discussion with Transport for New South Wales what they can do. An important proviso here down the bottom about bus routes, and that's something I think we often forget about as cyclists, but buses do great big things. They drive on defined routes. They are quite difficult to I've got a lot of sympathy for bus drivers manoeuvring those behemoths around our streets, which are sometimes pretty narrow, choked with parked cars, all that kind of stuff. You can't do works which are going to force buses to drive over curbs, or they can't get round corners because it's too tight, or all those kind of restrictions. You've got to consider the buses. I mean, they are public transport after all. Now, carrying out works, is community or stakeholder consultation required? Well, again, this is up to the council. They can engage if they want to, or they don't have to. They can just get on with it. And look, I think this is probably an important philosophical point that some councils are right into consultation these days. And I sometimes wonder if we've gone a little bit too far, because with consultation, there's always going to be someone that objects. Oh, we're going to put in toilets in this park. And you might think, oh, who's going to object to that? Oh, there'll be a resident that'll object because they'll think it's going to be used for drug dealing or, some other nefarious activities. Oh, let's put in a drinking fountain in this park. Oh, we can't do that because blah, blah, blah. Let's put in a playground here. Oh, we object to the noise of it. Whatever council does, someone's going to object. Are road safety audits required? No, they're no longer mandatory. I mean, they can do it. It's good practice, but they don't have to do it. Are road safety audits required for converting existing crossings to wombat crossings? No. I mean, obviously, council can do it if they want to, but they don't have to. So anyway, this is really interesting development. I guess we'll see over the next couple of years how many councils actually take advantage of this and use it. We're going to see faster decision making around active transport infrastructure. We're going to see better decision making. We're going to see projects delivered more quickly. I don't know, but I guess only time will tell. But I think if you're finding that a council in New South Wales is dragging its feet or whatever, or taking a long time to make decisions about things, we can point out to them this pathway exists. They don't have to go through the local traffic committee. They don't have to use road safety audits. They don't have to do community consultation. They can just decide and get on with it. Anyway, that's it for today. Catch you later.